Judicial review is a creation of John Marshall. John Marshall decided the case known as Marbury versus Madison. And Marbury versus Madison was a matter in which a commission had been signed by the outgoing president, John Adams. And those commissions were given to John Marshall to have them delivered. He gave half of those commissions to his brother to deliver. His brother failed to deliver some of those, including one to William Marbury. And Mr. Marbury then sued to have his commission delivered to him because the Jeffersonians, when they took power, were not going to do that. Marbury versus Madison stands for the proposition that the Supreme Court has the ability to review all acts of Congress for the basis of their constitutionality.
But if you want to be a true professional, you will do something outside yourself, something to repair tears in your community, something to make life a little better for people less fortunate than you.
Judicial review was essentially established by the case Marbury v. Madison in 1803. However, it was also a power given in the Constitution found in Article 3, Section 2.
The aspect of judicial review is used as a safeguard for the American people, and it serves as a check for the legislative and executive branches as an essential part of American democracy.
Well, the United States as a whole benefits the people to ensure that the acts of Congress are legal and in accordance with the Constitution. We all benefit. Obviously, we live in a country where federalism is key and the doctrine of supremacy, where the laws set forth by the Supreme Court in most instances are the Supreme supreme law of the land. Well, all three branches have a separate and distinct role to play. The Supreme Court makes certain that the Congress and the President are not overreaching.
It sets appropriate limits on democratic government by ensuring that the popular majorities cannot pass laws that harm or take undue advantage of unpopular minorities.
By having the power of judicial review, the courts are able to ensure that laws are following the Constitution and that they are not infringing on the rights granted to the American people.
Obviously, when our founders wrote the United States Constitution, they were pretty much silent on the issue of judicial review, and it really came about in the first instance in the case of Marbury versus Madison. So it provides another check on the power of another branch of government or two other branches of government, and I think it really enables our government to function as it was developed and designed to function, as having checks on each other, I should say.
What I see, I think, has been very inspiring, because I think you have people who are working really hard and who are trying the best that they're able to do something really important in this country.
Without this power, the other two branches of government would sign laws that took away the liberties from American citizens.
Well, I don't think they actually considered it. I thought they meant for the Supreme Court to be a minor player. They never expected the Supreme Court to take on the role as it has. And that role has really expanded through the ages. So it seems to me every difficult issue in society now ends up in the court systems.
I think it is time that Americans wake up to what it is the framers had in mind when they tried to create an independent federal judicial branch. They had a clear vision in mind, and that was that the federal courts would be deciding issues of federal law, constitutional and statutory, and that those judgments would be binding on all courts, state and federal.
In essence, it serves to ensure that the changing views of a majority do not undermine the fundamental values common to all Americans. For example, the freedom of speech, religion, and the due process of law.
We don't sit here to make the law, to decide who ought to win. We decide who wins under the law that the people have adopted.
The decisions of the Supreme Court have an important impact on society at large. The decisions of the court can have a profound impact on high school students.
But how?
Well, I mean, it affects students the same way it affects any other citizen. You have your constitutional rights like anyone else does. Also, I mean, if anyone's ever charged with a crime, I mean, there's certain constitutional rights that you have as an accused. And it's our role as the court to make sure that those rights are followed and upheld. So that's a right that, you know, any citizen has.
We have the Constitution and the laws, and I think they mean something. They don't necessarily mean what I want them to mean in every instance. They mean something, and I think the people of the United States trust us to interpret and apply those laws fairly and even-handedly and objectively, and that's the great responsibility that we have.
I think the most important thing for the public to understand is that we're not a political branch of government. They don't elect us, so they need to understand when we reach a decision, it's based on the law and not a policy preference.
What the public will see eventually is an opinion with reasons. The discipline that a judge follows, we have to give reasons for every decision we make.
They remind us that the role that we're playing is not a personal role, and not a role that should have a personal agenda, but one that has an institutional importance, and that institutional importance is bigger than us.